Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Bart Robley and the Garden Weasels.
Why didn't I think of that band? That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Oh my God, we are so excited to be here today. We've had so many laughs that we've only been on for like 15 minutes and we're already like having a good time. Welcome back and welcome to the Drummers Education Connection. We are here today with a special roundtable event. Two of our dear friends and extended family members of the Drummers Education community. Jim Royle, please give a warm welcome. Fred Fischer. And of course, our usual suspects, Chip Ritter down in Tucson, Bart Robley, SoCal, and Rick Stojak from San Diego. Man,
and Jeremy Steinkohler himself
Yes.
in the Bay Area. The
Yes.
man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
Just a myth.
Shall we do the Brady Bunch thing now?
What's that?
Shall we do the Brady Bunch thing?
Oh, like kind of like. Anyways, so I wasn't supposed to be here today because I had stuff going on, but my schedule freed up, so I'm back. And then now we have this terrific opportunity to have a roundtable, which we haven't had in quite some time on the Drummers Education Connection. This is a chance for us to talk about various topics, get lots of input, get lots of feedback. And of course, we would love to hear your feedback and your input, questions, comments, thoughts, observations. Put them in the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. So before we get started on today's topic, we like to do our little segment called Good Things. And before we do that, Chip's going to put a link in our comment section about our Patreon. And this is a chance for you to support what we do if you like what's happening on Drummers Education Connection and you get value out of what we offer every week and have been for the last 166 weeks or so. You can support us by purchasing a contribution or contributing to our fund that helps us pay for our expenses. And there's cool stuff you can get, like books and DVDs, if you offer to contribute. Good things. So I'm going to kick it right up to Fred. Fred, what's going on that's good for you right now, buddy?
Oh, I've got a long list, but I'll hit the highlights. So, my awesome friends that are right here, check this out.
Oh,
Look at that. Oh, hey, what's that?
Oh, four. Yeah.
And here's the little cherry on top.
Oh,
Hey, there we go. There we go.
wow.
Awesome stuff. I mail comes to Boise, Idaho pretty quick. So
Next time we do a deck day, Fred's got to do the merch table.
Yeah.
I could sell anything, man. I could sell anything. I'm a good salesman. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool to get in the mail. And I love supporting you guys too, because you're supporting me at the same time. So that's my good thing.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Jim, our other esteemed guest, what's good with you right now?
What's great is that we just finished our 38th season at the studio, and with our student recital, where everyone can do a solo, they can do a duet, there's ensembles, the whole thing, and that was a week ago, and we just had last week off, if you will, just to recoup. But it was another amazing recital. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got upset. Nobody cried. No white flags. I mean,
No one's in jail.
It's such an incredible day. I feel very fortunate and blessed because my health is in a good spot now. That's a very good thing.
Congratulations on that, Jim.
I'm like
Congratulations.
week 18 since the surgery, and I'm like well into my cardiac rehab and just doing great. Again, and we're already gigging. So, and the other great thing is that Silver Steel, our big, 15-piece steel band, started our season a few weeks ago. We've got like 30 performances this summer with that group. And, I wasn't sure how that was going to feel once I was out there, even though I've been building. And you know what? Feels good. Feels really good. So again, I feel, I had so much support from all you guys and so many other people during that very trying and traumatic time, and you guys made it much easier. And it's I think part of the topic today is about what makes you tick. You know what's making this still tick is drumming. You know,
There you go.
I mean, simply put, wanting to get back, wanting to be back at the studio teaching our students, back on the bandstand, that was making me tick for sure in that regard. So that's it for the moment. But thank you so much for asking.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome, Jim. So
Yeah.
good on you.
Rick, what's happening, buddy?
Man, it's been a great week for drumming in San Diego. In 1 week, I got to meet Vinny Appice. He was here in San Diego, right on my street at Society Brewing, doing a signing, and he was super cool and nice. And then a few days later, Kenny Arnoff was in clinic at Guitar Center. And you talk about inspiring and a go-getter and a person to model yourself after if you want a career in music. You can't beat Kenny Arnoff. So, and a bunch of my students were there, and it was just like a nice social. And boy, it just leaves you with some fire in your belly to rock out. So, and then this, what's better than this? Bunch of brothers on the drums.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Chip, what's happening?
Hey, you know what? I got a couple students of mine that are on the autism spectrum, and one of them's got Williams syndrome. And I've been struggling with him for a while. It's been a challenge to get him to get into rudiments and the single stroke roll and things like that. And I kind of had a little bit of breakthrough with him. I asked his mom and him what his favorite music was, and he said, "Oh, I like Connie, which is a singer in that Little House of Funk band." And remember Carl Cherry that was on our show? Carl Cherry was the bass player for this band, Little House of Funk. So I texted Carl, and he sent me a set list, and we got some songs, and a couple of the songs really hit it off with Manny, and we started playing in time, and I made a little bit of a breakthrough with him. So that's my good thing. I feel really good about that.
Very good. That's
Nice.
beautiful.
Awesome.
Very
Going
cool.
the extra mile. Way to go, man. How about you, Bart?
Yeah. You know what? Got a new student starting today. I'm really excited about that. Got a brand new student starting, so that's going to be very, very, very cool. I have one of my students that just moved out of state a while ago, who is they're settled in their house. They're going to be signing up, or they signed up, and he's coming back with some online lessons today. So I'm really excited about that. And then on the Ruins front, the new album is going to be out real soon on Metal Incorporated Records. It's sounding fantastic. I am so excited about the new album. And then on the Sam Morrison Band front, as usual, we're just out there knocking them dead, man. We've had an amazing year so far. It's hard to believe that we're in June already. Head back out Thursday for a couple of shows, and then we're back home, and then we take off to Wisconsin for a couple of shows. So we're going to be out there, flying out there for a few shows. So really excited about that. Book's doing well, and I'm here with my brothers on deck. So yeah, things are fantastic. Now I'm just going to, how about you, Jeremy? I was going to pitch it down to you. What's going on with you, bud?
I am excited about a lot of things, a lot of good things happening right now. This weekend, I've got 2 album release shows with the Erica Oba Trio. We just hot off the press. I'll put a link in the thing for a sec here. Just now out in Bandcamp. You can check out a couple of tunes on there. Beautiful music, really, really, really fine piano player, and so creative and so interesting. Jim, you're going to love it, I know. But you guys check it out. I'm really excited about it. 2 terrific shows this weekend. And then my son, Evan, who just graduated from high school, and his jazz band is going to Europe in 2 weeks. They're going to tour Umbria Jazz Festival, Vienna Jazz Festival, North Sea Jazz Festival, playing at all those venues, as well as a bunch of places in between. So super excited for him.
Wow.
Yeah, good stuff.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Nice.
Well, if we weren't all drummers, we could just be a band.
Hey, I think it would be a great band, man. We got Jim can play pans. I'll bang some coconuts together. We got all kinds of stuff we can.
I'm the merch guy. I'm the merch.
Fred's gonna sell our T-shirts.
Rick's gonna do all the camera work.
Rick's gonna do the camera work. Yeah, very cool.
All right. So what makes drummers tick? That was the impetus of today's show, but we can spread that out over all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Fred, what comes to mind when that question, if someone were to ask you that question at a cocktail party and said, hey, so what about this whole drummer thing? What makes drummers tick? What would you say?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to get over the fact I'm at a cocktail party. So
Let me rephrase that. You're at a white elephant Christmas party.
Okay.
Hey, those are fun. Those are great.
I'm giving everybody a free CD from my band because we can't sell those for some reason. But what makes a drummer tick? There's a lot of personality and character in all of that. And I read the first chapter of Bart's book last night about how connected we are through rhythm and things like that. And I think as drummers, it's easy to relate to one another because we have that commonality. But I don't know. I think it's just a frame of mind we get in as drummers on how we behave and how we think about things and how we look at things and especially being educators too, based on our experience. That feels like a really broad answer to that question.
That's okay.
No, that's not at all. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the marching world, ticking is a bad thing because that means you're messing up.
What does ticking mean in the marching world? Does that mean you're hitting the rim?
No, well, I mean, it could be a number of things: out of step,
Made a mistake.
not knowing your parts, things like that. Yeah. So I have kids that are in drum corps, so that's why I know about ticking as a bad thing as far as that goes. But yeah, what makes us do what we do? That's what we're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What is it about? What sets drummers apart? From the rest of the musical population or the rest of the population in general? I don't know. What do you think, Jim?
It never ceases to amaze me within seconds, whether it's us just getting together today, PASIC, a new student coming in, or a student I've had for a while. Just you go from our experiences. It could be a band that they bring up or a drummer that they bring up, and suddenly the whole room turns on fire and everybody's excited. You know what I mean? And I have this one student who's going to be a junior this year in high school, and he'll come in and he'll say, yeah, I checked out, Zappa, or I checked out the Dixie Dregs, or I checked out blah, blah, blah. I mean, he'll come in and I won't expect it. And it really goes deep for us because some of that's lost, and it's, we're trying to make sure we keep that alive. But when it comes in and shares something like that, and I'm like, well, who hipped you to that? And he goes, I was just searching, listening to music, and I just said, keep doing that. Just keep doing that. And he made my day. Like I was all set for the rest of the day. So for us, it doesn't take too much really, because of all that we've already experienced from when we were kids to now, and teaching, and and it just seems to feed right back to us in different ways. Seeing a student at the recital that, say, Brian was teaching and I didn't really get to hear the development, and we have a student who is also who is autistic, and he did a Steely Dan tune. He was more locked in than I've ever heard him, and he totally blew me away. Like, he made my day. Because awesome. I know there's some struggles, obviously, but boy, there's so many different things. But for me, it doesn't take too much because there's just so many like little branches that are attached to all those things that can jar us getting stimulated and make us tick. It brings us back to when we were that age. And one other thing that I'll say, if I remember back to when I was 11 and I started lessons, what made me tick was that, the teacher that I had, Mr. Gabriel, gave me, told me to get that record we were talking about, Frank Arsenault, 26 Rudiments. I wanted to really play well for him. I never wanted to repeat a lesson for him. And he made me tick. He made me want to do better. And it wasn't about, he was super strong in the sense of like I was feared of it. No, I just wanted to like play really well for him. And it somehow put a gear in me in a very positive way that at the time I didn't know what that meant or what that was. but boy, it made a difference. And forever, it made me want to be better, 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 better. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So that's my short, I guess, version of tick, or maybe that's too long. But
No, that's great.
Perfect.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you tap into something there that I think we've talked about before on the show that I think we experience universally as educators, and I think we did as students as well, is about how important a mentor is and how powerfully they can impact your life and motivate you to achieve and aspire and develop and become yourself. Find out who you are through this thing that we do, this drumming. It's powerful stuff. I remember, I can't remember, was it Vic Firth or Sabian one time sent me one of those certificates that I put on my wall in my studio, and it says something like, you never know where a teacher's influence ends.
Right.
Because you put this stuff out every day with your students, and you see some of it land, and you see the light bulb go on sometimes, and that's really gratifying. And then lots of other times you just don't see anything necessarily. You don't get back you don't know what you get back. And then you hear stories. This has happened to me. Like I had a student, that I taught when he was young, really terrific, amazingly talented kid, and then sent him off to some other people, and then he went to college and studied jazz drumming. He came back, and his mom called me after he graduated from college, after studying with all these heavy people. She said, I just wanted to tell you the lessons with you were the most impactful in his whole development. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I had no idea. I never would have believed that in a million years had she not said it. And the point is not to pat myself on the back, just to say, you never know. You got to put out, you bring yourself every day, you bring your 100%, you care, and you put everything you have into transmitting this information and helping people find themselves. And man, that's powerful stuff.
I want to jump in on that, Jeremy, because I love that. I think it's so cool because you don't know how you're going to impact somebody. You just don't. And what you said, I'm going to totally agree with. When you show up every day and you put your 100% in, even if it's with a student that you kind of like, you're thinking maybe they may not take off. Well, all of a sudden when they do take off, it's like a rocket ship. It's like, whoa, this kid went from 0 to 1,000, and it's so gratifying for them. It's great as a teacher to go, oh yeah, this student is really killing it, but you can see them like almost like, I'm doing it. You see the light bulb come on, you see the passion in their heart. And I think it's just that. I think it's just about taking what it is that we love so much and putting that love back into, put it back into it. And I know right now we're talking about students, but the it can be, a student, a performance, a rehearsal, a gig, writing a book, whatever. When you put your heart and soul into it, you're going to get it back in ways that you didn't expect, and it's, I think that's important. I think it's important to kind of recognize that, because you don't know how it's going to come back, and it may not come back right away.
That's right. And you can't do it, for that coming back. You just you do it for the love of it. And then you trust that spreads and has a good impact in the world, kind of thing.
Yeah. Would you like to hear the quote that is on the Vic Firth certificate?
Yeah.
And the quote is, "A teacher affects eternity. No one can tell where their influence stops." Henry Brooks Adams.
Nice.
A little Vic
awesome.
Firth in there.
So. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Cool. Yeah.
And I agree. I don't think you do it to get it back. That's not really what I meant by that.
Yeah.
I think that when it does come back to you, like you said, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that. It is a great thing, because you see that other person's life affected. I'm sure you guys have all had this happen. Not too long ago, I had a guy come up to me. He was in his 20s, and he goes, "Hey, are you Bart?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You don't remember me, but you gave me drum lessons over at this place in Villa Park, California, called Jam Music." And he goes, "You gave me drum lessons there." And I was like, "Wow, man, I taught there for like they were in business for 5 minutes. I taught there from the day they opened the doors till the day they closed. It was just a blip on the radar. But he goes, dude, that you helped me so much. And now I'm married and I got kids and I teach drums and I play in a band, and it's still a huge part of my life. And honestly, once he kind of told me who he was, it refreshed my memory, and I'm like, oh, that's incredible. That's so cool. And he's like, I just always look forward to my lessons with you, and I recognize you, and I wanted to say thanks so much. And we stood there and had a nice conversation for probably 30 minutes, and it was fantastic. It was great. Yeah, you don't know what's going to come of it, and stuff like that is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, like what Jeremy, you were saying, you had the student and they went off and they did all this other stuff to come back later from, I think you said the parent reached out to you and said how much influence and that you had over that. You were the fire starter for that. That's pretty incredible to go back to where it began, and that you were so influential in that happening. And I think that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think this is happening for us all as drum teachers. And, this is one of those rare occasions where I heard it back 15 years later.
Yeah.
A lot of times this happens, you never hear from them again, but that mattered, and it had an impact, and it changed the way they listen to music, maybe, or the way they approach practicing, maybe, or maybe even the way they treat the other members in their band, or who knows, all kinds of things. Life stuff having nothing to do with music,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that, kind of shifting the conversation in a different, area. I know for me, when I very first realized that it was like, I got to do that right there, that's what I'm going to do. There was a spark that ignited in me, and I can't tell you what it was. It was like, I just knew it was there. It wasn't, I don't know why it happened. I don't know what it was, but the second that I saw Ronnie Tutt playing the drums, there's a camera set up behind him and his hi-hat's going. I was like, that's what I got to do. That's what I have to do. And I've never lost that. I can watch that same concert, that same footage, and go right there. That was the moment. And look at him play. How does he do? I've been playing since I was 5 years old, and I watched that concert footage, and I still, how do I do that? How do I get it to sound? How do I get it to feel like that? And I think that love, that like Jim was saying, like always trying to get better, always, sharpening the knife, trying to just get that mere finish on it, get it a little bit better, get a little bit sharper, is what drives us. And I've never once had somebody in my life that was a drummer that I was ever like, not instantly like, dude, what's happening, and how do you do that? How do you check this out? I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes us tick, is that I don't know if we all have exactly what I just described, but we have that moment, and it's very important to us.
Yeah.
I think, you guys tell me if you disagree with this. I think there's some fundamental level on which all human beings are drummers.
I would agree with that.
I don't mean that they play the drums, play the congos or the djembe or the drum set or anything like that. Remo Belli, who started the Remo Drum Head Company, asserted at some point that he believed that 1% of the world's population were drummers. I bet it's grown since then, and maybe whatever, maybe it's 2% or something. So self-described drummers, not that many, but we all have heartbeats. And maybe this is a little corny, and feel free to jump in and say, no, you're crazy, but we all have this thing that is the source of our life that beats in time.
And this is a shameless self-plug. That's what my book is about. Look at Fred. Thank you, Fred.
I just read the first chapter, so all of this is like so connected at the moment.
Yeah. I think every one of us, I tell all of my students when we're talking about like first learning independence or interdependence, depending on how you want to look at it. I talk about, okay, the left foot, follow your left foot. That's your pulse. That's your pulse. And then I go, look, if you're walking down the street and you go like this and you don't feel a pulse, you've got a major problem. If you're playing a groove and the groove doesn't have a pulse, it has a really major problem.
Well, not quite as major, but yeah.
Not quite as major, but I know this tambourine player. Okay, Jeremy, let's get
You take it back. Take it back. That's a major problem.
That's a major problem.
Isn't that called arrhythmia?
Yeah, right. That's when your heartbeat is irregular. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I think that we all have this thing that rhythm does for us. I mean, go down a country road, roll your window down and go past the fence. There's some fence posts and you go past and you hear woo, 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 speed up, woo, 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 slow down, woo, woo, woo. That's rhythm. That's what rhythm is. Listen to a bird singing. Listen to the cat purr. I mean, that's rhythm. That's rhythm. What's the cat's name again?
That's Juno. She just came down when she heard you talking, Bart.
That's a smart cat. That's a damn smart cat.
That's a cool cat.
That's a cool cat. No, but I think that we all have rhythm, and it's about harnessing it, and it's about recognizing that life moves to a rhythm.
I think that everyone should drum, and I see it all day long here in this studio. People come in and they equate it to their therapy session, and they're more relaxed and they're more connected. And I think that's what happens when you drum, and then you're more relaxed and you become more social. And and they say, why play drums? It's because chicks dig drummers. The drummer is a chick or a guy or whatever. Chicks dig drummers. So
you're not wrong.
Can't argue with that, man.
Maybe because drummers are chill, and maybe we're chill because we've connected to that heartbeat that Jeremy was talking about.
Well,
so everyone should drum is the answer.
The universe started with the Big Bang. Right. That was like the first downbeat.
Right. That's right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Bam! Here we go. Yeah.
Let's get it started, baby.
And then we're just tapping into that. We're just tapping into that universal rhythm, man, with everything that we do, and it's there whether you perceive it or not. I feel like that's just something that the universe is attuned to. Rhythm. There's rhythm in everything, everywhere, just like you're saying, Bart. I think it's fun. The rotation of the Earth, the revolution of the planets around the sun. The expansion and contraction. I mean, at the most fundamental level, there's rhythm. And then, of course, we see it every day. And how we breathe, there's rhythm. Mm-hmm. How we walk, there's rhythm. Yeah.
And I think if you harness it right, too, and I think if you're doing anything that you love and you're doing it correctly, it should be a lot of fun and you should be passionate about it, And one of the people that I always point to that has definitely done that right is Rick. I call him the positive energy hand grenade. He's like, there was a video you did a while ago, Rick, and you did this video and you put it up and you were just rocking out. But in your video, and I'm really complimenting you on this, it was very vulnerable because you were just practicing stuff, right? You just did something and then you did something else and you put that video up. Well, at the end of what you played, you kind of did and the first words out of your mouth was, "Oh, that was fun." Like it was this cool thing. You just go, "Oh, that's fun. I'm going to put that in the bag of tricks now." And it was very innocent. It was very vulnerable, and it was really cool. And I think that the fun that we derive from playing the drums is something that we have to harness ourselves within that rhythm. And I also think that's one of our jobs as educators is as much work as it is to play this instrument. We have to let the students know that, hey, you can have fun at it too. This can be a good time.
Thank you for that, Bart. That's very, very cool.
You bet, man. You bet. You can Venmo me the $20 later.
What's so interesting too is we didn't have a show in mind. And Jeremy, there's your money. Jeremy,
no, that was an alarm for the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Jeremy wasn't initially going to be able to make this show, Bart sends Chip and I a text. What do you guys want to do for the day? And I said, it's obvious. Let's see our buddies. Let's just talk to Jim and let's talk to Fred. And it'll be a show about nothing like Seinfeld. Let's just talk. I knew it was going to be a great show. And then Bart, you made the artwork because you're such a badass with all the work you put into D.E.C. and you called it What Makes Drummers Tick. And I thought that's so cool because the word tick is timekeeping.
Yeah.
And the word tick, hey, that it's really ticking, it's really ticking. It just goes full circle back to what drummers do. That it's
Exactly.
Pulse
Exactly.
And
Hey,
how
at this
many
point,
songs-
guys, go ahead, Chip. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how many songs are at 120 BPMs, and why is that?
I don't know.
Right.
Tell us.
A lot.
I don't know. I think
That
it
was-
has something to do with the clock.
Well, I
That would
think
be-
that
would be
that-
a year.
there you go. That's what we were
There you
looking
go,
for.
Rick. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, I think 120 is David Lee Roth, I heard him once say that we like to do songs at 120 because people like to dance at 120.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people reach for 120 in a practice thing because, like, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of marches, you march well at 120, Am I correct about that or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the cadence.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
All right,
so at
Bart.
this point, speaking of cadences, I want to, we have a sponsor on the show, which is Centerstream Music, Centerstream Publishing. They are a fantastic company, Centerstream, and they have a lot of incredible educational stuff. And the educational stuff is not just drum related. It is every instrument, guitar, mandolin, harp, you name it. They have books on everything. They have a lot of history books. They have the history of Gretsch drums. They have the history of Ludwig drums. They have the history of Fender guitars. It's a phenomenal publisher. This right here is a kind of self-serving a little bit, but this is a plug for a piece that I did that they asked me to do. It's just called ASAP Drums, and it's the original 26 rudiments. And on the back of this piece, there is a drum solo that I wrote for a new book that I've actually been writing. It's not new. It's not out yet, but it's a book I've been working on for about 3 years, called Etudes with Attitude. And it is it's a snare drum solo book that was kind of influenced by the Nard book, and that's on the back of this piece of literature. So it's a simple little thing. It's $5. If you want to get that, you can order it either through Centerstream, or you can go directly to my website. It's cheap. It's $5. I mean, $5. We go to Starbucks and spend that on a doubly dipper, flappy, upside down caramel flapper floper. And you can
That's
get
what I
this.
like.
Yeah, those are
Look, I
great.
got both.
Fred's got both, and
Really
And
wants
so-
to be the merch guy.
he does. He is the merch guy. Look at him, man. He's the merch guy. So check out Centerstream Publishing. Chip put a link to Centerstream and my website in the chat. Thank you for that, Chip. And that being said, for all of us, you can go to our individual websites. You can get Rick's books at his website, Jeremy's book at his website, Chip's book and DVDs at his website. You can get a dream date with Jim Royle at his website, and Fred Fischer will sell you tickets to everything. And whatever they're selling, you know what? Fred has cars for sale on his website, as well as tiles from the space shuttle. You can buy those at fredfischer.com.
Wow.
Very diversified.
Yeah, well, you got
gotta
streams of
be.
income. Streams of income,
Yeah,
brother. That's
yeah,
what it's about.
I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
And I don't know the answer. I've got some concepts. When you get a group of drummers together, what's it called? Like a crash? A
A
bang,
class of drummers. That's good. That's really good, Rick.
bang of drummers, a crash of drummers. I'm
Bang.
trying to figure it out. You guys
Well,
know-
like if you see a bunch of crows hanging out, it's a murder of crows. I don't know
Right.
why, but it's a
Yeah.
murder of crows. So we can't be a murder of drummers. That's not going to work.
No.
But what did you call it, Rick?
I thought a crash was kind of
A
cool.
crash?
Yeah.
That's
Or a bang.
cool.
A bang of drummers.
I like crash.
Yeah.
There you go. You heard it here on deck first. It's patented by Rick Stojak, a crash of drummers. I dig
Crash
it.
of drummers.
Hey,
Yes.
you know what, guys? I got a question. I got a question for everybody. There was a
Okay.
time in my life when I was starting drums and I didn't know what I was doing and I couldn't really play, but I knew I wanted to play and wanted to be a drummer. And my first song that I ever really locked into the beat and played in time was Jukebox Hero by Foreigner. What was your first song that you played in time?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Rick?
You know, it would have to be an original song that my older brother, late brother Robert, wrote.
Okay.
You know, just something that he and I played together. So right away, I was working on original music. And
Very cool. How about you, Jim?
Oh man, that's a Pandora's box. I'm trying to think. The first thing I thought of was my dad taking me to see Buddy Rich, and I was really young, and I dared try to play along to those records, but I tried anyway, and that really inspired me, and that helped make me tick. So my dad, speaking of making you tick, he helped make me tick into this, and I didn't even know it at the time. It may have been a Buddy Rich song at that young age, I think.
Very cool.
wow.
Jeremy?
The first song I remember ever playing that was a sort of actual song was with my friend who was a guitar player. And he was starting out on guitar and I was starting out on drums. And it was Every Breath You Take by The Police.
Oh, man, you went deep and hard, man. Dang.
How about you,
What?
Fred? What about you, Fred?
Man, I can't remember specifically the song, but I remember when I first started drumming along to music, I would just turn on the radio. This is back when I played quiet enough I could hear the radio and play. But I would just play to whatever was on the radio, and if a commercial came on, I'd switch it to another station. I'd play along to whatever song that was. However, when I started really getting into playing along to music, my first love was Striper.
Nothing wrong with that.
So yeah, I even set up my drums sideways so I could film myself with our home movie camera that you had to carry like that.
Yeah.
I would I just wanted to be Robert Sweet. So
That's awesome. How about you, Bart?
Boogie with Stu by Led Zeppelin, baby.
Boogie with
Wow.
Stu. Right on.
Yeah. Physical graffiti. And it wasn't, when you listen to the song, I don't think, this is what I think it is, having a bunch, and this has been in my head ever since I was a kid. I think it's, it might be a bass drum, but then the groove is just, and it's kind of got a little, kind of a swingy vibe to it, not quite straight ahead, not swingy, but the bam bam is not in a snare drum. I think it's two cue balls, click, 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 click.
Oh,
and if you listen to my album Scavenger, there's a song called Wax On, Wax Off from the Ruins album, and that's what I did is I layered it, and I had two cue balls because it just that influenced me so much. I always wanted to do it, so I did it. But then after that, it was a lot of I loved Kiss, so Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, all of those, and then REO Speedwagon, Riding the Star, all that. What about you, Chip? I think yours was Striper, wasn't it?
Mine was Jukebox Hero when I first
Jukebox
was
Hero
playing the song, and I had that first experience of really being in the pulse, in that pocket, driving it along and just lining up, and that's what I was gonna say makes me tick as a drummer, is that sense of rhythm that's so powerful, that's just like a primal, it feels right and everything goes away. My bills, the rent, I'm not worried about any of my problems. I'm just in that zone and I'm grooving to the pocket and I'm providing that foundation for the song. I think that's what makes drummers tick, Yeah. And we got a couple people that have posted note for note. James B. Harrison said, note for note, Who Stopped the Rain by CCR on a 45 from my grandmother's jukebox at a restaurant.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Jeffrey Stone said, because of Lessons with Fred, out of Rick's book Last Night on Earth by Green Day. You guys.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
Very cool, man. That's awesome.
You guys,
Thank
I
you.
have to share something. I've been searching for this video while we're talking, and I have to share it with you because it was such a profound experience I had here at home.
Okay.
Remember, you see my cat here. This is one of my cats. Juno, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys, you're not going to believe this, but check it out.
That's a Juno solo.
It goes better.
Nice.
It's got great time.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
That's better than some of my students.
I wish I had a video of this. I live in a zoo. My wife, we save animals and stuff, and I have a cockatiel. And I'll put the cockatiel on my snare drum and I'll take a brush, literally, I'll just sit here and on the snare drum, right? And she looks at it at first and gets freaked out, and then she puts her beak down and she rubs her beak back and forth. It's the coolest thing. See, and look, everything has rhythm. It goes to prove it. Look,
there's a video on Facebook I saw, or whatever, Instagram. It was an elephant. There was a guy with a big bass drum in front of a fence by an elephant. He was hitting the bass drum, and then the elephant was smacking the bass drum with the trunk. It was like a call and response thing. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That was even before my low sugar diet.
that was Rick before he started yoga.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question for you guys. Now that we've all got the bug for drumming and we're all ticking as drummers, and let's say you have a student who comes in, who's in high school, getting ready to graduate, and they want to make a living at this. What do you tell them? What do you do?
So now we're changing the topic to what makes drummers rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes drummers rich?
I got a good one.
Let's hear it.
I would look them in the face and give them the Gene Krupa advice, which means if you don't absolutely love this, get out now. You have to absolutely love what you're doing to get through the hard times, to propel yourself to get to the good times. If you don't love it, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Can I echo what Chip just said by telling a little story?
Sure.
It'll be a very short one, and I know my stories are not short. 77 years ago. Jim's gonna just click on Sunday. We just got off a real short run with the band. We left Thursday, played Friday, Saturday, Sunday out in Arizona. We did 3 casinos. The last casino was in Goodyear, Arizona, which is an hour closer to home. It's still about a 6-hour drive. We packed up and left after the gig. We often say that the band, Greg says, we're a touring war machine. That's what our bass player says, because we're in and out, down and dirty. Let's go. Packed up everything, got it in the trailer. We were on the road by 10:30. I walked in the front door at 5:30 a.m. My first student was at noon. I taught from noon till 8 o'clock yesterday. I had one break in the middle of it. By 8 o'clock came around, I almost felt like I was doing a disservice to my students because I was so tired, but I was giving them my all to be all in the lesson. So that's the kind of stuff that I think you have to do. And I did it because I loved it. I loved every second of it. There wasn't a student that got on my nerves. I did 3 incredible shows with some phenomenal musicians. And I love it. And it's exactly what Chip said. If you don't love it, get out now. If you do love it, be prepared to work harder than what you think it's going to be. Because that's in any walk of life, that's what it is. So yes, I'm totally just kind of, when I tell that story, it's just kind of, I guess, leading by example, if you will.
Yeah. Yep.
Fred, what would your advice be?
Buy my lawnmower.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh, I used to own a landscaping business before I became a full-time musician, and so I have a few remnant pieces of equipment I was trying to get rid of.
So if the drumming thing doesn't work for somebody, maybe they can go do landscaping.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've had some mentors in my life over the last few years that have made a huge impact on my music career. And I wish I would have had some direction like that when I was younger. So either we all experience this teaching is that we've all been professional musicians for a long time, that we can help guide our students in a good path. In fact, I was talking, my friend Mr. Stojak here and I were talking, like, because we have a similar demographics in our students that we teach, and similar goals that are, and probably it's the same across the board for all of us. But I told Rick, I said, I'm trying to prepare my students to thrive in today's musical climate. You know, knowing how to work in a studio, knowing what's important playing live, know what's important as far as the business side of music goes. And because of my experience, I'm able to help offer that advice to my students. So I don't think it's just a one word or one sentence answer to that question, but I think there's a whole list of things that could be covered in helping direct each person's desires on what to do. But that's something I talked to Rick about, is like, how do we get our students to be able to thrive in today's musical climate? And, you know, and that the way the business works now is so different than it used to be, and it's evolving quickly. It changes day to day most of the time. So me being active in playing out and recording and those kind of things too, I'm able to offer that advice to my students as, you know, they want to pursue that as a career.
That's great.
Jim?
Out of the park. Out of the park. Over the fence it goes. Great answer.
What do you say, Jim?
Well, what I was thinking about when you mentioned that is that's not going to be something that's probably going to come up out of the blue necessarily.
Right.
And I'm going to be working with that particular student who obviously you could see there's talent, there's work ethic. You could just see it in their eyes. You know it. You because you knew you had it, they have it. And so I'm starting right away then with that student on a different plane. So there's no, well, I tried, there's always going to be surprises, but I want to make sure they really get it, that this isn't just going to be, you know, a star on your door and everything's just going to fall into place and everything's just going to happen. And it's funny, or it's not funny. We did that great Greenwich Town party again in Connecticut, and this year we warmed up for Mumford and Son.
Oh, cool.
And they have the main stage. It's like a billionaire owns this thing that happens every year. And one of our young players in Silver Steel auditioned to be on the town stage, which is hard to get into as well. And he was saying, yeah, he goes, you know, we submitted and we didn't get it. And I said to him, look, I'm going to give you an example of something similar that happened to me. Again, the whole basis for it is that just keep trying. You know what I mean? Don't give up. Just keep trying if you want it that bad. I remember when we were talking about PASIC and going this year as a group. I remember when I was, you know, submitting to perform at PASIC or present at PASIC. And I always wanted to do a fundamentals drum set clinic. And I tried a couple of years in a row, and I really thought I had my stuff down and the support behind it, and I still didn't get it. And I remember speaking to Neil Grover, and he just looked at me and he said, Jim, he goes, I want to tell you something. I've tried with the Boston Pops percussion section to get to present and get a clinic for the past few years, and we haven't gotten picked yet either.
Wow.
So,
wow.
And that's one of the best orchestras, you know, in the country and in the
Right.
world.
In the world. Yeah.
And so I said, and I used that as this young man who just graduated college over a year ago, that, okay, it didn't happen just then, but just keep trying, keep submitting to play at the Greenwich Town party. maybe it didn't line up this year. Maybe they already had some people from years past that they wanted to plug in. You don't have any idea why you didn't get it.
Right.
You know, and I asked them, what kind of style did you guys put in for this year, or what was your band? Oh, it was kind of a rock, funky kind of thing. Well, it really wasn't the style, because a lot of that was happening at the event. So maybe it just wasn't your time. But please don't give up. Just keep trying. And I've centered my whole life and career around that. Is that if it didn't work, well, I got to figure out why it didn't work, or maybe it just wasn't the right time, and I'm just going to keep trying and try it again. And since then, I've presented at D.E.C drum set fundamentally twice now.
Oh, cool.
Over the years, and I've performed in other groups and other concerts and things. And so, you're going to submit, like we put in for a panel discussion, didn't get it. Doesn't mean it's never going to happen, but we got to keep plugging away to get it, because we do have something great to offer.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we have to instill that in our students, that they do as well. And I've had other students that have moved to Nashville, and now one of my kids is playing with some of the biggest country stars, touring all over the place. I mean, but he was in the trenches for a long time trying to figure it out, but he figured it out.
Yeah.
And he didn't give up, and he kept doing it because he had he had it in his eyes and in his heart that that's what he wanted to do.
Very cool.
If you have that, and you just have faith and hope, you're going to get there. It just may take a certain amount of time and perseverance and dedication and all those great words that we use all the time. They're real and they're true.
Yeah.
So when a student says to me, "Yeah, I want to go to college for music," or "Yeah, I'm considering doing this or that," different gear. It's going into gear 6.
Right.
Because in today's world, it's definitely different than when we were younger. And things have gotten cut up a lot differently, and so I try to give them everything that I was given, and then everything else I've gotten a whole lot more, but they have to live through that. You know what I mean? They're going to have to make the good decisions, and maybe some that weren't so great, to build on how they're going to get there, and it's their journey. And that's what's special about it, is that it's our journey. And we're going to go through those paths along the way and learn as we go. Yep. So that's my short end of that.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy? I want to hear your input, because you posed the question.
No, I think Rick posed the question.
Oh, did Rick pose it? Okay. Sorry. So Jeremy, say something now, because I'll just shut up and not be done.
I think passion is a really important piece of the puzzle. I tell my students, just like Jim says, when there's the students that they just have it and they love it. And I have a 12-year-old girl, and she's going to be a professional. I just know. Like I have a 16-year-old boy student who is going to be a professional, because he's already playing at a professional level. And these kids live and breathe this stuff. Like they can't. That's all they talk about. That's all they think about. Their identity is wrapped around their playing drums, and they love it. And they had early success with it, and that fed into a loop of more practice, get better, enjoy it more practice, get better, enjoy it more. And those kids, I feel honored to sort of be in any way an influence or a guide on their path, because I know they're headed for it. And so I do my best to talk to them about my experiences. That's part of why I wrote my book, was to share all these experiences that I had and lessons that I learned from doing this whole gig for 40 years. And so I tell them lots of stories, I tell them give them advice about how to handle relationships, about how to handle the business side of things, about how to be prepared, how to be on time, all the stuff, that all the great drummers we've had on our show have said, echo the same stuff. And then, there's the kids who are sort of on the fence, and I suggest to them, maybe if you're not sure, it's always good to have a backup plan, or like a sort of parallel track. And isn't it what a terrific, beautiful gift to be able to play music on the side on weekends, let's say, because you love it and it brings you joy and pleasure and you can be really good at it, and not have to make a living at it. Because when you have to make a living at it, all of a sudden these other pragmatic issues come into play where you have to balance all things to make money, right? And so, and it's very, very, very difficult to make a living, especially when you're first coming out of college, as a musician. The gigs pay now the same they did 25 years ago when I first moved out here. In terms of, what the average gig pays at the bar, it's still $100. So, there's ways to do it. It's changed over the years, like you guys have said. It used to be there were tracks for being a studio musician. That's a lot tougher now. There's not as many musicians making a living just being studio musicians as there were in the 70s and even the 80s. But there's all kinds of other things you can do. There's teaching and there's gigging and there's touring. And, if you're passionate about it, I say, you're going to make it work. You're going to always figure out a way to make it work if your passion is there. So that's what I have to say.
Gotta love it. Yeah.
Very, very good advice.
Very good.
Having that backup plan gives you a lot of flexibility, and you do have to invest in a career if you want to do that. And you get money to invest into that career.
Well, and one last thing I'll say, I know other peers of mine who are professional musicians, not drummers, and they're, monster players, but not very good at networking, not very good at self-promotion, not very good at the social media stuff. And, let's just say not very good business people. And I think that's, I always have this feeling of like, oh God, this guy could be such an amazing, success beyond just being a great player.
Right.
These other pieces together. And that's just the modern reality of being a professional musician. It's not enough to just be good. Like Fred was saying, you've got to have all these other pieces into place, the business management and all this stuff. So that's just the way it is now.
Right on.
Completely.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes, very much so. What about you, Rick? Chime in a little bit more.
Well, I do like what you and Chip said. You have to have that passion for it. You have to love it. But what I think you have to look at is how much do you love it? How passionate are you? I have a lot of people come in. I love it. Oh man, this is all I want to do. And then I said, and then I'll carve out, well, how do you spend your day? How many hours of the day are you actually practicing drums? And then you when you really look at their daily schedule, where they're like, well, they're going to sports and they're surfing and they're playing video games. And I gotta be a rock star. Like you gotta make a list. You gotta make a list. Like, how passionate are you? And then really look at your time. Like Chip Ritter is always saying, write your goals down and make lists. Really, be realistic about this, and be aware, of what gigs pay as a musician, and define what that means for you depending on the city you live in. In San Diego, rents were one of the most expensive places in the country. Rents are $3,000. So you do the math. How many 100 gigs are you gonna have to do in a month? Gigs will pay, like Jeremy said, 25 years ago. So a backup plan isn't a bad idea. And most of the time, a career as a musician involves business chops and networking, like Jeremy was saying. So getting educated and having some college experience is huge, and definitely get mentors. I would say the first thing to do is study with all six of us. And then I would get really well read, because I've had a lot of people who wanted to be professional musicians, and I said, well, go get Zorro's book, The Big Gig. I have that. There's a question. There's a list in the back of are you ready for the big gig? So real honesty. Definitely get Jeremy's book, Finding the Groove, and Bart's book, The Rhythmic Journey. You've got to be well read, and you should definitely read a lot of biographies about all of these different drummers. Every one of the Drummers Education Connection podcasts. That's 160 free education. And look at the similarities of every one of these main successful drummers. They could not put their sticks down. That's all they did. That's all they wanted to do. That's all they ever did. That's the consistency with all of them. And listen to the other podcasts too, like Drummers Resource. There's like 500 podcasts of the Drummers Resource. So get real, folks. And you can do it. No, it can be done if you're educated. So.
And remember what makes you tick.
Yeah.
One other thing I'll mention, and I think this goes for no matter the aspirations of young drummers, whether they want to turn out to be professionals or, maybe they want to play in a rock band, whatever, in college, whatever it is. You got to enjoy the process, because that's all there is. We all have these dreams, maybe when you're young, especially of sort of arriving at some point where like, I will have arrived when X, when I have a record deal, when I'm on the cover of Modern Drummer, when I play at the Madison Square Garden or whatever it is. And, some of those things may happen. Many of them maybe won't, but it's really important that you enjoy the process, because the process is what we're all about. That's how you get good. That's how you improve every day. And you may never arrive in the way that you imagine you might. The horizon keeps receding, for one, as you attain certain things, you're always wanting often more things, or, bigger gigs or better paying gigs or whatever it is. If you're not having fun, it doesn't matter how successful you are. I know touring musicians, professional players who come back from tour and they're miserable.
Oh yeah.
They've had a horrible time of it because they got taken advantage of by the band manager and blah, blah, blah. And, you got to surround yourself with good people, and you got to be a good person yourself, and you got to enjoy the process. Otherwise, do something else.
Exactly.
Most people don't know that when you're on a tour bus, when the bus is going, you can't poop.
We have to end the show there. We can't. There can't be anything else said after that.
How long can you hold your poop?
Oh man! Oh my God!
What a touring rock star.
What you put on the bus stays on the bus.
Yeah. You guys, thank you all so much for sticking around and being a part of our circus show today. Thank you for Jim and Fred for coming on. We're delighted to have
you guys.
Great to be
here. Thanks, guys.
Do this more frequently, because this is just too much fun. This is so much.
This
fun.
really was. This really was
We will
awesome.
see you all next week.
Thank you guys.
And take care.
Excellent.